What's up, everybody? It's Dingers time. We're Dingers with the Boys. I'm Tim. I'm here always with Kyle. And we got a special guest with you tonight. We got the old curmudgeon, Book. Book, tell us about yourself a little bit.
Well, I grew up here in Denver, so I'll teach you guys a little bit about the old-time Denver sports.
All right, looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's going to be sweet.
We're going to start talking about some of the All-Star game. Didn't miss much if you didn't see it. You know, it was pretty boring. I know, Book, you didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Didn't miss anything. It was just such a disappointment, kind of like we talked about a few weeks ago. And NBA really needs to figure out something with that. Just the challenges and the game itself, honestly.
We'll hit on the major stuff, though. 3-point contest. Damian Lillard won. The contest between Sabrina Ionescu and Steph Curry. Curry won.
That was the best part.
That was probably the best
entire
part.
weekend. I hope
that
they keep
was
doing
super
that.
Exciting.
Especially maybe Caitlin Clark or somebody like that coming in next year and teaming up with Ionescu or something.
The skills challenge, the Indiana Pacers team won. And then probably the least exciting part, the dunk contest, Matt McClung.
Yeah.
He won.
Being older, Book, because I know you were around when Vince Carter, I know we were, but we were a lot younger. But Dr. J, David Thompson.
I was at the game, the All-Star game in '76 when they first.
Really?
I was there.
Because I was in Denver.
Sweet.
And the funny thing that nobody mentions is David Thompson was ahead on the scorecard, and he did this crazy dunk, but he missed it.
Really?
And that's when Dr. J took off from the foul line on the next dunk and,
wow.
and won it.
So it was pretty much
David Thompson was going to win it.
Wow.
But Dr. J came through with that, from the foul line.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's crazy to – wow, that's crazy. Yeah, because you always hear about Dr. J winning that.
Yeah.
What do you think about the dunks compared to then and now? Obviously, it's harder to come up with newer stuff the longer it goes, but it's just terrible, and none of the stars do it. So it's just it lost its flair. I feel.
Yeah, well, compared to the first one, they're much better now. I mean, they were so rudimentary.
The actual dunks.
Time. Yeah. I think the highlight, probably the top, was when Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins were going at it in the late '80s. I mean, crazy good.
Yeah.
Those guys could both get off the ground.
I wish we could have LeBron do it or something.
Yeah,
just
once, I think one of the biggest things with the dunk contest is the superstars aren't in it. That's who people want to see. They want to see LeBron and Aaron Gordon again, and
exactly, and actually doing something
that, and actually doing it. But instead, we get these G leaguers and players we've maybe never even heard of. But
exactly. Well, and then the All-Star game in itself. Literally no defense.
Yeah.
The East scored, it was 100 or 211 to 186, 397 total points, and it's I want to see. I like the All-Star game because I want to see these actually guys compete and see if they can stop them and stuff. But
those days are gone.
Yeah, it's a new era now. Nobody cares about it. So
But it's a showcase.
But now we're a little over halfway through the NBA season. With the All-Star game going through, we want to talk about our NBA playoff push, see what we think is going to kind of any surprises or top teams that are kind of going down or anything. I know obviously the very big one is the Philadelphia 76ers. Without Embiid, they're terrible. In their last 10, they're 3-7, and a couple of those have came out last second shots. Yep. There's talks that Embiid could come back in a few weeks. Yeah. I don't know if it'll happen, but if he doesn't make it back before the playoffs or even at the playoffs, they're not even a top 10 seed, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know. I still see them being a playoff team, and I would be kind of concerned with them if I was a Eastern Conference team, just in case Embiid does come back before the playoffs start, even if it's 2 games or 3 games or something, because you got to remember how good they were before Embiid got hurt. And I hate saying this because I don't like Embiid, but he's a great player and he's a total game changer for that entire team. And they were really good before he got hurt. So for a 1 seed or 2 seed or 3, I think they could be a big I don't know, challenge for
A little sleeper
them.
kind of.
Yeah, like a sleeper pick. So, but I would be shocked if Philadelphia does so bad that they miss the playoffs.
I don't think they'll miss the playoffs. Yeah,
but because Tyrese Maxey, he was an All-Star this year. He's having an amazing year. He's a heck of a player too. So they got enough talent to scrape on by and at least get into the playoffs. But a big push to go deep in the playoffs, I don't know. It all depends.
yeah.
I kind of like the move they made to get Buddy Hield in there. I thought that was good.
I think that's the biggest trade that happened this trade season. I completely agree with you.
So, like Kyle said, if Embiid comes back, watch out.
Do you think it could mess him up, though? Because he's never played with Buddy Hield, and they traded Patrick Beverley, who's a big defensive guy, and they traded him. Do you think that could kind of, you see the Clippers, and it took them a little while to, get going, and now they're really cooking,
There's
honestly.
always that, for sure. I mean, the chemistry is key.
Yeah.
But I still think they've got the talent.
Well, I think going on the Clippers side, a big thing about that is before they would use load management as to their advantage of, hey, we're going to play for this 6th seed and we're all going to be super healthy, but they avoided they forgot that, hey, chemistry is a big factor. So now that the 65 game rule is in effect,
they are all
I think
playing
that helps. That helps the Clippers, I think.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. The Clippers, they started off the season 8-10. That was the very first 18 games. Started 8-10. Since then, they've went 28-7 in their last 35 games.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about. In their last 10, they went 7-3. So if you take those out, it's even a better better looking. They're just, I think they're one of the teams to beat in the West, other than champs.
Yep, I still.
No, it's
Yep.
But that's who I would be scared about in the West as well as the Clippers. I'm not really worried about the Timberwolves, the Thunder. I do think the Timberwolves did a good trade for Monte Morris just to kind of. When Mike Connolly's out, who just got an extension today, by the way, 2 years, $22 million.
Connolly did?
Yep. 2 years, $22 million. He'll be 38 at the end of that. But I think Monte Morris as a backup, that's great. And then OKC, they did trade for Gordon Hayward, but they're 6-4 in their last 10, which isn't bad. But before that, they were 8-2. So I don't know the few younger guys, because I think their chemistry was very good. So maybe it messed it up a little bit. But I think Gordon Hayward could be a very good veteran to come in and kind of for the younger guys.
Even if he doesn't play heavy minutes or anything, which he might not, I don't know. But yeah, I think they could be pretty good, but I don't see them being a really contender yet.
Yeah,
there's a few stats that I like to look at in comparing teams here, and the three are field goal percentage differential, rebound differential, and then 3-point differential, not percentage, but 3 points.
Okay.
And in all three of those, the Timberwolves are up there in the top of the league.
Interesting.
So I think they are built to win.
It surprises me about the 3-point, just because rebounds, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns,
right?
Yeah,
and they obviously shoot a lot more inside.
That's their lowest. They are eighth in that in the NBA.
In the rebounds,
or
in the 3-point?
In the 3-point differential.
Okay. But that's still pretty good.
In rebounds, they are 4th in differential, and field goal percentage differential, they're 2nd.
Interesting. Who's first in that?
Oklahoma City.
Wow.
But they are so far back in rebound differential that I don't think they're a playoff team. I mean, a championship team for that.
Yeah, they're just so young, too. I think in a couple of years, the way that they're playing, if they can keep their core specifically, I think they're very dangerous.
Absolutely.
They have all the picks that they need to go trade for a superstar if they go that route as well. So
out of the teams that are in the play-in right now, do you guys have anybody that you think could make a run possibly for the championship? I have one team in particular that I think could end up making a run just the way that they've been playing. But do you guys have any before I say any of those? So right now in the West, you have Dallas Mavericks, Sacramento Kings, Los Angeles Lakers, Golden State Warriors. In the East, you got Miami Heat, Orlando Magic, Chicago Bulls, and Atlanta Hawks. Those are the four currently right now.
I think for me, that team would be Dallas. I think they were very active in the trade market. They went and got PJ Washington, which I think was a very good move, very good upgrade from Grant Williams. Yeah, Grant Williams might be a little bit better on defense, but
there's a lot of turmoil too.
There was a lot of turmoil, but like Grant Williams wasn't playing great defense this year. He's definitely gone downhill. But PJ Washington, great pickup, and then Gafford, he's actually leading the league in true shooting percentage this year. So, and he's a great lob guy, and Doncic loves to throw the lob. So, I think those are two very good pickups. Both of them offer another offensive kind of force.
It helps when Kyrie and Luka are both healthy too.
Exactly.
You can definitely see it's a complete different team. Like we were talking earlier with USC college basketball, they're a completely different team with Isaiah Collier on the team or on the floor. So when they're both on the floor, it's just, it's one of the top teams probably in the West compared to borderline playoff team almost. Do you have anybody that you're?
I do. It's an obvious one though. It's Miami.
Mm-hmm.
They were in the championship last year.
Yep.
And they are playoff tested, and Eric Spoelstra is maybe the best coach in the league.
I think so too.
Yeah, he is.
They got Jimmy Buckets.
Yep. Jimmy Buckets, exactly.
He was hurt for a long time too. So their record, they're 30-25 right now, but it's almost, they're 30-25. But say you even win 5 more games, that's huge. Like 35-20 compared.
Right.
And I think they would have won more than 5 games if he was in.
Yeah.
They also just traded for Terry Rozier a few weeks ago, which I think is a very big, because I don't think Kyle Lowry, I think he was kind of past his prime a little bit. Yeah. I think Terry Rozier and the way Tyler Hero's playing right now too.
Yeah. Remember, Hero wasn't in the playoffs last year.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Miami Heat as well. I was thinking Dallas Mavericks too. Those were my kind of top 2 in each. I think the Warriors, I just feel like you can't put them out.
Warriors are toast.
I hope so.
They're done.
Something missing this year with the Warriors.
That's what I think it's gotten better after the trade deadline. They're 8-2 in their last 10, which surprised me. I didn't think that they had been doing that great. I thought they were kind of mediocre, but they had Draymond Green out for, what was he out?
17 games.
And then plus the 5 earlier.
Yeah.
So that's huge. He doesn't score that much, but he does everything.
Right.
He could get a triple-double every single night, and he's a very good defender no matter what person you put him on. And so I just don't think you can count them out. As a number 1, number 2 seed, I would not want to play Golden State in the first round personally.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just I think they're a scary team.
I disagree with you.
You're whack,
you guys, just because they're too old now. Their time is done. I think versus any of the other play-in teams, I think they'd be lucky to beat. I think Sacramento, they'd be lucky to beat Sacramento.
You hate Sacramento.
I do. I don't think Sacramento is good, but they're better than Golden State. So,
what do you have against Sacramento? Before
I think they're just a little overrated a bit.
Except against the Nuggets.
They whoop our butts.
It's
the champs.
De'Aaron Fox is good, but the rest of the team is.
Sabonis is good.
Sabonis is good, but
let's just keep naming players and see if he says they're good.
Sabonis is a poor man's Jokic. I'll just say that.
Hey, I'd take Sabonis on our team. He's actually leading the league in triple doubles. He passed Jokic a few games ago. I think it's going to be fun. I do think there's only a few teams that realistically can win the championship. Milwaukee was one of them that I thought. But now with Doc Rivers, I don't know. It surprises me. I think Doc Rivers is a good coach. I think he gets out-coached in the playoffs because I think he's very stubborn and he doesn't like to switch his game plan in a 7-game series. And so that's where he's lost multiple 3-1 series, being up 3-1, one to the Nuggets, But I think they might get it to get going. But Boston Celtics, they're playing great. The Cleveland Cavaliers are 18-2 in their last 20. Their only 2 losses are to Philly and Milwaukee, and so I think they're definitely a scary team to watch. Which I feel like they're almost like a sleeper that I did not see coming at all.
Yeah, they made the playoffs last year, but they didn't do anything in the playoffs.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I thought it would be this year, too. It was 5-6 seed maybe, which, they're all right. But it's they don't have a chance. But the way they're playing the last 20 games, it's great.
Yeah. Little interesting bit about Cleveland and their coach. Another Denver high school player who's an NBA coach.
Really?
J.B. Bickerstaff went to Denver East, and then Chauncey Billups went to George Washington. So
Interesting.
2 DPS
Wow.
guys are.
Man, I wish I would have went to DPS. Dang it. That's kind of crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was from Denver.
Well, his dad, Bernie Bickerstaff, was coach for the Nuggets and GM for the Nuggets. So that's when he was here. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Now I kind of hope they do better. Interesting.
Denver connection. Yeah.
Do you guys think that the Nuggets can repeat this year?
I'd be ecstatic if they do. I will always back them. I'll still always say I think we can. It's going to be the harder than last year though. And I think last year was hard. It wasn't easy. But they're still right there up in the West. They're 3 games back from first. So I'm not going to count them out. I think all they need to do is just get healthy. I think the All-Star break will be great for them. We've got a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. I think it's like the 6th easiest the rest of the
we don't have very many back-to-backs, which is nice.
We don't have many back-to-backs, playing easy opponents. And I think if we're a team that can get the 1 seed, we're a hard team to beat at home. If we get any home field or home court advantage, then yeah, we're tough.
I don't think we're going to get the number 1. I don't even think we're going to get the number 2.
I
don't think we care as much as the other teams.
I don't think so either, but if there's a chance, you never know, like these final 26, 27 games, who knows what will happen, but I think even if we don't get the number 1 seed, how seeding is maybe looking, it might even be better to be a number 4 seed.
Could be.
It's like we could match up with like Phoenix, who I think we could beat in a 7-game series, then
I'd much rather do like the Pelicans. I hope that's who we would, and then maybe get like the Timberwolves or Thunder in the second round, specifically the Thunder. But we'll see. Luke, what do you think? You think we can repeat?
I do. We have not been real healthy. Murray's still kind of iffy, and he really is the key in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Jokic, but if you don't have a healthy Murray, you got no shot.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't just
right.
like rely on Jokic.
Right. I mean, Murray is such a factor in the second unit as well, which everybody says, our second unit is trash, which it is. It's not great, but it wasn't great last year either.
In the playoffs, it doesn't matter as much, though, because you're going to like a 7 or 8 player, and even those like 7-8, they're not playing that much.
Right.
Like if the game is really close, Jokic and Murray are playing 40 minutes of that game, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get up a little bit and they can get some rest and they don't have to play. But yeah, I think Murray is definitely the X factor because Jokic is going to do Jokic things.
Right.
He's always going to do it. Murray, if he's on, one of the best point guards in the league.
Yep.
When he's off, it's a little rough, and that's obviously everybody.
And I actually think Peyton Watson is a better guy off the bench than Christian Brown was last year.
Yeah.
I've never been a huge fan of Christian Brown. Hey, I will cheer for him as long as he's here. I think he's overhyped. I like Peyton Watson a lot more. I mean, Christian Brown, he's just so predictable. Like, we're sitting at games watching on TV, like, well, he's going to like shoot the ball or he's going to try to dunk it. And it's like, dude, there's 3 guys and nobody's back to even try to get a rebound or anything. And so that's frustrating. So I agree with you there.
I think a big thing with Christian Brown, he was asked to replace Bruce Brown. Well, you can't replace Bruce Brown. He's a one-of-a-kind player. He was the key that helped Denver win last year. But Christian Brown can't be Bruce Brown.
Right.
They might share the same last name in a way, but they're not the same player. So
he just needs to get back to his hustling, kind of like Birdman used to do. It's like hustle, make some big plays for a few minutes, get the crowd into it. Boom, that's your role. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about the playoff push before we take a break?
Yeah, there's one other thing. We brought up Miami earlier. I just remembered this. They also have one of the easiest schedules too. I think they have the 4th easiest. And so like you said, with Scary Terry now, Jimmy Buckets, I think they could be a team to push for.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add is we didn't mention at all the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
They are good.
Yeah. I mean, I said Boston Celtics, but I didn't say anything about them.
I've got one dark horse with the trades they made, and that's the Knicks.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks could be pretty strong.
Man.
As long as they get healthy.
Yeah. They're so weird because they made big trades to win now. They got Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks, and then before that they got OG. OG's been injured though, and so they're 5-5. They lost 4 straight going into the
same like
in the
they also
All-Star.
have Julius Randle who's hurt too.
Exactly, but I completely agree with you. I think they can be a dark horse, and especially at home. They play great at Madison Square Garden. They're 19-8 at home, which isn't like amazing, but they play good. And I agree with you. The trades that they made, it's great. And then with the Celtics, I think Kristaps Porzingis, that pickup in the offseason, could elevate them to the NBA championship. Honestly, he's been playing great. One of his best.
It's Dingers with the Boys. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, and Twitter.
We'll come back here.
Go give us a follow.
We'll keep talking.
Yeah, like Tim said, if you like the videos that we're putting out, definitely go follow and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. But let's just get back to the show.
All right, we're back, guys. We got Book here. He's our guest. First time on the podcast, but he's a big Denver native. He's always been around Denver sports. So we just kind of want to get his opinion on some sports. We want to know like your favorite player of all time. And if it's not a Denver player, who's your favorite Denver sports player of all time? And this can be any sport. It can be boxing, soccer, whatever.
Right. I'm going to break it down a little bit. My first sports hero of all time was Floyd Little of the Broncos.
Okay.
Right.
How old were you when he was playing the Broncos?
I moved here in '68, so I'm not actually a native. So I was 4 years old.
I forgot about that.
I was 4 years old, and I didn't really know about sports until I was about 6. So 1970, and he was in his 4th year. By then. And in '71, he led the NFL in rushing.
Okay.
And,
when
you're
7
years old.
Exactly.
That's huge.
Okay.
So he was my first sports hero. But then probably still for the NFL, he's my all-time favorite player.
Not John Elway?
Not John Elway.
That's my boy.
I like Peyton Manning more than
really?
I like John Elway. Yeah.
I told people my name was John Elway when I was younger. But he was the hero when we were growing up,
Then basketball, Bobby Jones. I don't know if you guys even know that name, but he...
I got a Bobby Jones can up there.
Yeah,
somewhere up there.
He was so special for the Nuggets. He became nationally famous with the Sixers after we traded him.
Because he played like late 70s for us, right?
Yes. We traded him, I think, in 78. He was here from 74 to 78.
Okay.
So
he was here... When did the Nuggets come to the NBA?
He was here the first 2 years of the NBA and the last 2 years of the ABA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was he had the all-around game like a Jokic, but wasn't as big a part of the team. But he could do everything on the floor.
Nice.
Everything.
I know the name. I don't really know much about him.
Yeah.
But I definitely have heard the name.
And I think he was the first Six-Man of the Year winner that the NBA ever gave out.
When he was
with the Sixers.
Did he win a championship with the Sixers?
He did.
Okay.
The '83 season when Dr. J finally won an NBA title.
Okay.
Bobby Jones was the 6th man on that team.
I'm pretty sure I've heard of the name, but that's way before my time. So
exactly.
I'll have to go look up some videos or look up some things about him.
Was he a center or was he a guard?
He was a forward.
Okay. Forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he played at North Carolina. We had a pipeline of North Carolina players for a long time, thanks to Larry Brown and Doug Moe, who were North Carolina guys.
Yep.
And then it continued with
George Karl.
Exactly.
Yep.
So,
okay. Yep. So are those your favorite Denver players then, or just players of all time?
Yeah. All time, but they're also Denver players. So
okay.
I'm very much a homer.
Little bonus.
Yeah. Do you have somebody that you can think of that you just love that never played in Denver?
Oh, let's see.
I'm putting you on the
spot. Yeah, putting you on the spot here.
He still played in Denver. It was Tim Raines of the Montreal Expos.
Okay.
He played 1 year minor league ball for the Denver Bears.
Okay.
But
I don't even know that name.
Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a great player. And the Expos were my team because we didn't have a major league team then, and the Bears were the AAA team for the Expos.
Okay.
So we had a lot of great players come through here, but Tim Raines.
Where did they play at? The Denver Bears, you said there?
Yeah, Mile High Stadium.
Oh, okay.
It used to be called Bears Stadium.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Back, the Bears used to own it, and then when the city bought it, I think it was 68, they changed it to Mile High Stadium.
Were the Broncos playing when it was called Bear Stadium?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I always just thought it was Mile High
There's
Stadium.
another trivia question. What's the other stadium that the Broncos played in Denver besides it no longer exists?
I think I've heard of it, but it
It's a
starts
tough
with
one.
an M.
No.
No. I
They played at DU Stadium.
Okay.
Really?
DU had a stadium on the campus. Yeah.
Was that like 60s then?
Yeah, they played there. They would play there while the Bears were still season was going on. They had to play their games at DU because the Bears had
That's crazy.
precedence over the Broncos. Isn't that nuts?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's and that was a AAA team, you said?
AAA team. Yep.
Wow.
They were
That's
quite successful.
surprising.
But they were owned by the Broncos, and the Bears were owned by the same owner.
Oh, okay.
Phipps. So
Sweet.
Yeah.
So that was way before the Bolins and stuff.
Yeah.
bought it and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just dropping some knowledge.
Yeah. I've never, and we've talked about a lot of
Yeah.
stuff before, but I had no idea about that stuff. I know the Nuggets used to play somewhere downtown, but it's still there, but it's not a sporting event.
It's now the Temple Buell Theater.
Yeah.
But it was called the Auditorium Arena.
Did you ever go there?
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
They had the auditorium, the Denver Auditorium, and the Denver Arena in the same building. But now it's all
the Buell
Theater.
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And
the little more trivia for you. The National AAU tournament in basketball was huge back then, and it used to be in Denver, the championships. So for like 15 years, Denver was a basketball mecca before the Denver Rockets got here in the late 60s. Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So you've obviously been to a lot of different sporting events. Do you have one or two that stick out where it's like, man, this was my favorite one. I wish I could go back, go to that event again. Not even necessarily like Denver. I know you've gone to some big soccer matches out in Europe. Is there anything that like really sticks out to you?
Yeah, there's a couple. And actually my two favorite were here in Colorado.
Okay.
So I went to the Broncos versus the Raiders, January 1st, 1978, AFC Championship game.
And we went to the Super Bowl, right?
When we won. Yeah, we beat the Raiders.
Wow.
That was so much fun. It was so many years of struggling for the Broncos.
Yeah.
Were you like 13 at that time?
13 years old.
Wow.
Yep. And so you're in prime sports fan age,
yeah.
And it was so special because we had never even made the playoffs that year. We'd beaten the Steelers the week before on Christmas Eve, and then New Year's Day.
It was a great holiday season. Did you go with your dad? Because your dad was a sports broadcaster.
Yep.
So, did your siblings go too, or was it just
we just had my dad sat in the press box, and I sat with my mom on the two seats that we had.
Nice,
so, yeah,
cool.
That's fun, and it'll be something that you'd never forget. That's awesome.
And the second one just happened a few years ago. I was at the CU Nebraska game 3 years ago, maybe now.
That's when Nebraska was ranked, right?
No, they were still struggling.
Okay,
but it was an overtime game, and we won, and it was about 60% Nebraska fans in the stands.
Nice.
Up in Folsom Field. And we won in overtime and shut that crowd up, and I was so happy.
That's awesome.
That's the happiest I've been as an adult at a sporting event.
That's so fun. I know we're still a little younger. We've been to quite a bit, and I mean, I think of so many, but the game one of the championship last year, NBA championship, I was crying. It was just, I think it meant so much.
That was my favorite as well. It was such an amazing experience.
Yeah,
but
I know I'm going to throw another question, put you on the spot here, but with being to some soccer games out in Europe, how do you compare those to games here in like the States? Because I've heard soccer games, there's nothing like it. Like just the fans are so into every single like minute and everything. Do you agree with that being to both?
Yeah, it's a different atmosphere for sure. The games are a lot shorter with the running clock and everything, so you can pay attention a little bit better maybe to the soccer. Everything is in our sports. There's timeouts and it kind of takes away from the action, so you kind of lose interest a little. But soccer is that way where you can watch 45 minutes straight take a break, then 45 minutes straight again. For the second.
Yeah, that's always nice.
It is nice. Soccer's a great game, but I'd still rather go to a baseball game or a basketball game or a football game than a soccer game.
Interesting.
I wonder if that's like, because I know soccer is huge in Europe, but really anything else, there's not really that many big things. Like,
basketball's
really have
pretty big over in Europe, but it's not even close to soccer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's starting to get a lot bigger because you just see how many international players are starting to come out of the draft. I think this year, as of right now, the first round, there's like 15 projected international players in the first round, which is crazy to think about. But I think you're seeing, you see Jokic, you see Doncic, and like even Embiid. I mean, I know he played in college, but just some of these and
it's not even like they're good players; they're the face of the league right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Giannis. Yeah. I mean, if you say your top 4 players, none of them are from the U.S. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I know Asia is big in baseball. I know Japan is, but I think China is
Korea
big in
is,
baseball
and South Korea.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, because you went to a game, didn't you?
I went to a game in South Korea when I was stationed there. Forget what teams, but it was a blast. It was super fun, and I love going to baseball games here too. But it's just kind of cool, like seeing they're
just
different.
It's like you can
different,
take a nap.
Whatever, in Korea, it's fun. They got cheerleaders.
Maybe that would keep me up. How many times have you fell asleep at a baseball game? Every single one you've gone to? It's just like
0.
Just snore. I've never fallen asleep either, but I feel like I could.
Now, did you like the rule changes that made the game a little quicker last year?
I actually did. I think,
me too.
Especially at the beginning of the season when the Rockies still were only 20 games back from making the playoffs. Yeah. Game 1, 20 games back already. But I think we watched, especially like those first 2 months, I don't know, there's probably 40 games, 50 games in that first 2 months.
Yeah.
I bet you I probably watched 20, 30 games, which is more than ever before. And it was nice because it's 2.5 hours, and you're not waiting 20, 30 seconds between each pitch. It's usually like 5 to 10 seconds, and I liked it a lot.
I did too. I thought it was a great change.
Yeah.
Great change.
Speaking of changes, so you said like you like that change. We're big NBA guys, I know you're a big NBA guy as well. If you could change one thing, like take one thing from like when you were a kid, say 70s, 80s, and bring it to today's game, or vice versa, something in today's game, bring it back then, or like a player that you'd like to see, like would you change
in the
something?
NBA?
Yeah, in the NBA.
There's one the way they call it now. When I was growing up playing basketball, you couldn't
carry the ball.
Yeah. And now everybody does it.
Yeah.
And it's made it more of a one-on-one game that way, because you can beat a guy, you cross over.
If you carry it, you can do a lot of stuff.
And the first that really changed with the Magic Johnson era. He was the first guy who they kind of allowed to cross over and carry it like that. Yeah. I would change that rule back to the old. It would make it more of a passing thing. However, I want to say this. The NBA is the best it's ever been right now. I love the way they play it with the three-point game.
Yeah. Yeah, because you were around before the three-point game.
Yeah, I saw it in the ABA.
Yeah.
And they didn't bring it. I think the first 4 years the Nuggets were in, they didn't have it in the NBA.
Okay.
And then I think it was 79 they brought it.
Do you think that was a good thing?
Very good thing. It opens it up for the little man again.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And it's just a better game that way.
Yeah. It's funny with the carrying, like you said, and I love when they call a carry.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, what do I do? I'm like, dude, you're at your hand on the other side of the ball and brought it over. And I mean, I play a lot of basketball. I'm sure I carry it too, but it's just kind of how it's evolved.
Right.
And I mean, I'm fat and slow, so I don't I don't drive that much, but I'm sure to a point, I carry it. But it always cracks me up when they call a carry on a player, because they're like, what do you mean? I do that.
You see it every 2 weeks.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of the same thing with like travels too. It's like, oh, you just took 6 steps. No, I didn't travel. Dude, you took 6 steps.
Now the Euro step that they allow now, that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah. I like the Euro step.
I think it's good. And back in the day, it would have been traveling. But
do you think there's any players now that could have played? Because it was a lot more physical back then, almost a fighting. Do you think there's some players now that could play?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm not the first guy to come up with this, but the superstars in any era could play in any other era.
Yeah.
It's the marginal guys who might not be able to make it in a different era.
Yeah. Do you think, say, LeBron James, just because everybody knows LeBron James, do you think he could play and be a superstar in any era?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then, like, vice versa, say, I don't know, like, say Magic Johnson. I mean, Magic Johnson was amazing, or Oscar Robertson or something. Yeah. Do you think he could be a superstar in today's game and stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you'd have to go way back to the early of the 40s. The superstars of the NBA then probably couldn't, because it's just size-wise, 6'7" centers.
Yeah. Well, it's like Wilt Chamberlain,
5'10" guards,
Yeah.
I think that would be, Wilt Chamberlain would be a fun person if you could take him and put him in the league now. I'm sure he's still going to do good, but
would he be as dominant as he was? Probably not, because like you said, the size. Right. There's a lot more bigger guys. Like watch him and Shaq go against each other or something. That'd be kind of fun.
My money's on Chamberlain.
That's it. Did you ever watch Chamberlain? Did he?
He was right at the end of his career when I got to see him play. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember the 71-72 Lakers when they won 69 games, and that was the record at the time. They were so good. Yeah. So good. And that Elgin Baylor, who was a superstar for 12 years for them, only played 9 games that year.
Wow.
And they won 69 games.
That's crazy.
Isn't that nuts? Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, actually, just to give you guys a heads up, starting next week, me and Kyle are going to do a generational kind of bracket, like a playoff bracket. We're going to do the top 10 teams in each conference by record at the end of the season. So they might not have won the championship, but we're going to kind of do some simulations, try to see,
who's the best of the best.
Who's the best of the best, and that's all by record. So, for example, like Golden State Warriors, I can't remember what year.
They had 3 great seasons, 2015, 2014, 2016.
And like some of the Lakers in the 80s and stuff, they had like some of the best ones. So we're going to see that. Starting next week, we're going to do that. So definitely keep an eye out on that.
It's going to be fun.
But so you've seen so much change in Denver. How has Denver sports changed since you were a kid or since you were like mid-adult to even 20 years ago? Because obviously we're like 20 years ago to me is a lot different than 20 years ago to you. And like you were around before Colorado Avalanche, Colorado Rockies around, and I know we had some baseball and some hockey as well, but it wasn't like the professional and stuff. So how do you think it's changed?
My main thing that I noticed the difference is the way it's covered. We didn't get every game on TV. It was very special to have a game on TV. Channel 2 was the channel that covered the Nuggets and the Colorado Rocky hockey back then. But we'd get maybe 15 games a year.
And so is that every sport, or is that just...
That was for the...
Like, so you'd get 15 total between the two? Or 15
each probably,
Okay.
And then the Denver Bears, our minor league baseball team, we'd get maybe 5 games.
Wow.
But the Broncos, we would get every game, which was nice. The NFL was good about that. So we were a radio. We listened to the radio all the time to the games that weren't on TV. Yeah. So that's way different than we had 2 major papers in the town, and everybody read the papers back then because we didn't have ESPN, didn't have the internet to read the news on.
See the box scores and everything like that. Yeah.
So that it was really different with radio and newspaper. As opposed to it's practically all television now. And internet.
A lot of podcasts.
And podcasts.
And Dingers With the Boyz, baby. And Boys with a Z.
So that's the real main differences I see now. Those are...
I mean, I could definitely see that. And it's crazy to think what's changed in the last 40 years, even say, to where, say, when we're your age, what we're going to be talking about, like we used to... I don't know, watch like everything on TV every single. I don't know what it would be.
In the future, you're gonna put like on goggles and it's
you're walking around in
virtual reality and
you're like one of the players almost. Honestly, it could be. I know that they've messed with some stuff with Wemby with that.
Yeah, and stuff. I saw the NBA announced with Wembanyama. Now you can use AI to just like broadcast your favorite game. But as if it was a movie. Yeah. So you could say, all right, watch the Indiana Pacers game like it was Spider-Man. And
wow.
It was sweet. Like
that's very
little
cool.
2-minute clip I saw. It was pretty cool.
But It's exciting. Some of it I don't like just because, I mean, you see at the game so many people, and I mean, I'm guilty of it, just watching on their phone because you're taking a video,
Right.
And yeah, I'm guilty of it, but it's like, man, we just got to be in the moment more. And I'm sure at that time you were very much more. Even listening to the radio, you're into the radio. Right. You're not doing something else.
Yeah. If you miss it, you miss it.
Yeah.
We all had our little transistor radios with the earphones so we wouldn't get in trouble from our parents when we're listening late at night.
Just pretending you're asleep. That's funny. I never definitely did that, but that's really funny. I'm sure people do that now to just like play different games.
Right.
I know kids are all and got the AirPods and stuff now. That's funny to think about. Let's get into our game picks this week, though. I've been on a rough picks. Kyle's been kicking my butt. The Super Bowl I got wrong. I don't even remember the last games. I got them all wrong. I went 0 for 3.
Last 3 picks, neither of us really did well. You went 0 for 3. Goose egg.
I'm trying to wait till Kyle gets up enough where it's just going to be such a dramatic comeback that everyone's like, "Oh, he's done." And
I'm going to go on a heater though, so
he might go 0 for 3 this week. I got to start letting him pick first, just because then he copies my picks. Cheater.
Whatever. You can copy me.
But let's do our picks. Book, you can join us in. We got 3 games. So first one, February 22nd, got Florida Panthers versus the Carolina Hurricanes. This is only our second NHL game that we've ever picked. We both got the
first one was very bad.
Yeah. We got that one wrong. I'll go first on this one. It's an interesting one because Carolina is at home. They're playing pretty good. They have 69 points on the season. Panthers are doing a little bit better, 76 points. I think, personally, the Florida Panthers are going to go into Carolina and win. It's not too big of a road trip or anything for them. Sam Reinhart's playing great. He has 66 points on the season, 39 goals. I think he's definitely going to push Florida over the edge just with Sebastian Aho. He's playing good too, but he just doesn't score as much, and he's their leading scorer at 19 goals. They kind of have a few guys, right in that area. But I think the Florida Panthers are going to go into Carolina and take that game.
Yeah, well, Tim, you're not going to like this, but I also am going Florida.
See, I
had them.
Oh my goodness! I think this is ridiculous. Do you see him changing on his boot?
No.
He's on his computer. He's like, I got to pick Florida now.
Not at all. They're just haters.
I'm
going to go Florida as well. I think it's going to come down to goaltending, and Bobrovsky, I think is how you pronounce his name. I think he's the better goaltender of the two. Carolina, they kind of flip between two. One of the guys I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but
I butcher so much.
I think it's the other guy, but they're both decent. They're both pretty good, but I think Florida is playing a little bit better. But I'm going to pick Florida as well.
All right, Book, what do you think?
Well, I threw a dart at the dartboard and it came up Carolina. So.
I know you were saying earlier, I think NHL is the most 50-50 sport.
Yeah.
I think baseball can be that way, depending on pitchers.
Right.
But it's especially then it's like a 10-90 sport, But especially like two teams that are right in the same kind of like area. Second one, we got college basketball. We got Alabama, who's number 13, at Kentucky, number 17. They're both 18-7 on the season. Kentucky just had a big win the other day. Alabama's playing great, I'll go first again. I just want to see if you pick. I know, I just want to see. I actually think you're going to pick the other team, so I'm going to go Kentucky. I think home court advantage is the biggest in college basketball, and I think their home court advantage is going to definitely propel them. Antonio Reeves is playing great. He's got 19.5 points on the season per game. And I think their big guys are better. Trey Mitchell, I think he's going to dominate Grant Nelson. My guess is that's who they're going to be guarding. And I think he's going to definitely dominate down there. So I got Kentucky winning that one.
Yeah. You always make me feel dumb because you know all the players. But I looked at both these teams coming into it. I did some research. They're both pretty similar across the board.
You're getting ready to pick Kentucky, aren't you?
No. I'm not. Because you're going to be wrong. I'm going Alabama. I think it's going to come down to defense again. Like I picked against Kentucky
against Tennessee
times ago because of the defense. And while Alabama doesn't have an outstanding defense, I think they're just slightly better than Kentucky. So I'm going to go Alabama.
All right. Boot?
I'm pretty strong on Kentucky here. I think they're really coming together. Calipari's got a young team, as he usually does, and they take a little while to come together. They're coming together now.
Yeah, especially right before March Madness. Yeah. They're kind of getting everything together. And like you said, I think they tried different formations throughout the year just to see kind of how it works and defenses. And so I agree with you. Last one we got Milwaukee Bucks at Minnesota Timberwolves. I'll go last this time. I'll let whichever one of you two go. I'll go last on this one.
I'll lead us off. So these are both teams' first game back from the All-Star game. I know Milwaukee, they definitely want to do better than they were with Doc Rivers, but I don't think it's going to happen versus Minnesota, especially at Minnesota. I think Milwaukee's defense just kind of sucks, honestly. Minnesota's defense is top 5. And then Anthony Edwards on the offensive side is really good. Karl Anthony Towns is also playing really well. So I think Minnesota is going to be too much for Milwaukee. I don't think Doc Rivers will have the changes that he needs to make. And I think Milwaukee is not going to be very good this rest of the way in the playoffs. So I'm going Minnesota.
I agree with Kyle. I'm going with Minnesota as well. Now, I'm not so sure that Milwaukee won't be good later on, but they still are learning their new players. Yeah. I am really bullish on the Timberwolves. I think they are really good.
Yeah.
So I think...
Dude, Book.
No,
come on, man.
They're no nugget.
Come on,
they're pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's my pick.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys, too. I'm going to go Timberwolves as well. If it was in Milwaukee, I think I would have picked Milwaukee, but Minnesota's pretty good at home. They're 19-5 at home. I agree with you. I think they are going to get it together. Damian Lillard, Giannis. I mean, first, like at the beginning of the year, well, not even at the beginning of the year, like Damian Lillard coming in with a new coach at that time, and they already had a new coach. I think that was tough. Well, all right, they started getting it. Then they fired their coach. They got a new coach. And so there's just so much changes. Yeah. But I think by the playoffs, I think they're really going to start picking it up. I think they are going to be one of the top teams in the East, even though they're struggling a little bit. But like you said, with Karl Anthony Towns, he's playing great right now.
Yeah.
The last few weeks has been amazing. Rudy Gobert, Ant and stuff. And so, yeah, I'm going to go with Minnesota Timberwolves as well.
All right, so you may only grab one game on me.
Well, it's not a may. I'm going to grab one game. So if they win by 30, I say let's give me 2 games. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's going to be a good game too. But yeah, hopefully I can get back. I think you're 3 games up on me and stuff right now. So
yeah, you could still come back. You never know.
It's February. Yeah. Don't you be talking. Yeah. But that's all we got. Do you guys have any last comments or anything, Book?
Thanks for having me. I really had a good time. And one thing we didn't mention, University of Denver has the NCAA's leading scorer right now, Tommy Bruner.
Really?
Leads the entire Division I in scoring.
I think I was texting you about that when they were in that overtime game a couple of weeks ago. Right. Yeah, I think you were texting about that.
So it's if you get a chance, go down and see DU play.
It's fun.
Yeah, I've actually never seen them. I've always wanted to. So.
It's fun. Like the Colorado's, especially college right now, them, CU and CSU, they're all playing really great.
It's nice, yeah.
It's just fun to actually be in games and everything. And those are all really close to us. And so that's crazy, though. Yeah. I didn't know he was leading the league still. But yeah, Book, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you can come back. Yeah, hopefully you can come back again, give us some more knowledge that I definitely had no idea on a couple of that and stuff. But we had fun. Definitely be a lookout on our Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Twitter. Like I said, check out or be on the lookout as well for our simulations as well of kind of like the all-time generational NBA teams. And hopefully you guys like those. We'll talk a little bit more about that next week. But that's all we got for you guys. Hopefully we do better next week and let us know. We'll see you. Go ahead.
Hope everybody just has a good week. Stay safe out there. But that's all we got.
Cool. We'll see you later, alligators.
All right.
Peace.